Our story starts with a house, all covered in snow, with lights on the roof, and the windows aglow. Inside this house was a baby with candy, and sitting by the fire was a kindly old granny. And inside a door a little girl stood, with a glint in her eye, she was up to no good. With a devilish cackle, like a witch on a broom, Izzy shot like a bullet through the living room. And she snatched up the candy, but as she turned to flee, Granny picked her up gently and set her down on her knee. "Ah, ah, ah," Granny chided, "no more naughty schemin', or you'll be snatched up by the mean Christmas demon. His name is Krampus, and he's ugly and hairy, and he steals kids away in a bag that he carries. Naughty children, beware, for he comes in the night, fills his bag with bad kids, and then he takes flight. So be good and be kind, if you don't want to boil, or you'll find yourself in his big pot of oil." A ding came from the kitchen, and when she heard that sound, Granny cried, "Oh, the cookies!" and set Izzy down. "Christmas demon? Yeah, right," Izzy scoffed, and with that, she again snatched the candy and kicked the poor cat. But too bad for Izzy, for she didn't know that Santa was watching her from the North Pole. And Santa Claus wrote her name down on his list, and to pick it up came the scary Krampus. Krampus walked in, hanging his head. "Santa, sir, I'm here for the list," Krampus said. "But what will you do with the kids that I get?" It was clear that the question made Santa upset. "I told you, no questions," Santa Claus said, and he got up and left without turning his head. With the list in his hand and a tear in his eye, Krampus climbed on his reindeer and took to the sky. He entered a chimney and then Izzy's room, but he knocked over a lamp, waking her with a boom. "Krampus! Oh no! Wait, don't boil me! If you don't, I'll be good. Just wait, Krampus, you'll see." As Krampus stepped back, as confused as could be, he said gently to Izzy, "No, child, that's not me. I collect the best children, all the ones who are good, and I bring them to Santa, like a good monster should." Then Krampus paused, scratched his head, said, "Although, what he does with them then, I don't actually know." "If that's true," Izzy said, "then you've made a mistake. If you're here for the good kids, I'm the last you should take." "You mean I've been taking bad kids and didn't know?" Krampus gasped. What would he want with the bad children, though? The two of them thought then, and then thought some more. They thought and they thought till their thinkers were sore. Then Izzy cried, "Hey, I know what we can do. Krampus, I'll come to the North Pole with you. We'll spy on Santa, then we'll finally know what he does with the kids. Come on now, let's go." It took some convincing, but Krampus finally agreed, and they took off in the night on his reindeer steed. They arrived at the place where Santa made toys. "Be careful," warned Krampus, "not to make any noise. Santa's workshop is private. No one's allowed inside." "Don't you see?" Izzy answered. "He has something to hide." Quiet as mice, with the utmost of care, they crept to the door at the top of the stairs. They peeked through the keyhole, and what they saw there caused Krampus to gasp and to wail in despair. Santa stopped, and then turned. With an earth-shaking roar, he threw his head back and bellowed, "Who's at my door?" Izzy gasped out in fright, and she started to cower, but Krampus picked her up and ran for the tower. They arrived on the roof, Santa nowhere in sight. "I think we lost him," Krampus panted. "Calm down, it's all right." But before Krampus could say any more, there were footsteps quickly approaching the door. "Haven't I told you not to come into my shop?" Yes, sir, I'm sorry." But then Izzy cried, "Stop! Don't apologize, Krampus. He's the bad guy here." Santa stopped, turned his head, and said, "Why, my dear, has Krampus told you why he's so scared of me? Why don't I show you? And then you will see." Then Santa began to pull back his hand, and Krampus knew that he must take a stand. "Don't you dare touch her!" he angrily cried. Then he swooped in and roughly pushed Santa aside. The tower was icy, and Santa slipped. He wobbled and stumbled, and then finally he tripped. They watched him as with one final "Ho-ho!" Santa plummeted down to the ice and the snow. His old big red hat was all that remained. Izzy saw it and got an idea in her brain. She picked it up, dusted it off, and then said, "It's yours now, Krampus," and she placed it on his head. As we finish this story, my friends, keep in mind to keep an eye out for monsters of a different kind.
Here comes Krampus, here comes Krampus, yeah, 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 yeah. He will put you in a barrel, hit you with his stick.